Oh, and we're live. Hey guys, hello and welcome to the February edition of Ask Abroad Live, where I'm all yours for the next hour. I hope you're all good. I hope you've had a good weekend. I hope you're having a good Sunday. Go ahead and let me know where you're watching from around the world. We've got people watching literally in every country. Well, not every country, that would be ridiculous, but lots of countries. So go ahead and let us know where you are. I'm a bit in a weird mood at the moment. I'm a bit repulsed over something I read a few minutes ago. I've been looking up some interesting. I just got lost on a website basically where I was reading weird and strange things about Japan, things that not even I know. And I read a horrible thing in Kabukicho in Shinjuku, the kind of shady nightlife district where you can pretty much do anything. It's a red light district, so anything can happen. There's a bar apparently where you can buy breast milk and shot breast milk for 2,000 yen, which is $20 or about £15. That's horrible, isn't it? And I think for 5,000 yen, I'm not going to go into too much detail on it, but I read that and I was like, that's horrible. That's legit. That's disgusting. Shotting real breast milk in a bar all right. I won't go down that way. That's a horrible thing to talk about. Anyway, let's see where you are watching from. We've got Australia, Germany, Los Angeles, Manila, Edinburgh, Cornwall, Canada, Singapore, Florida, Belgium, Washington. Oh my God, that's a lot of exciting places and a lot of places that I would like to go, especially Australia. I still haven't ever been there. I don't know how I've never been there. Anyway, guys, I hope you've had a good weekend. I guess the top of my news list recently is the start of the new podcast. We've finally kicked off podcast. It took me 5 years to go ahead and do it, but it's off to a bloody good start. I hope if you've listened to it, go ahead and let me know what you think of it. Quite curious to get some critical feedback. Feel free to be as critical as you like about it. If you think it's awful, let me know if it's awful. Don't be too mean. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry on the live chat. That'll be awful. But be critical. Obviously, we're in the early stages of the podcast, but it's been a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun in many ways than making a video. It's not as rewarding as making a video. Obviously, after a week of making a video, hunched over a computer, and you have it up on the internet and thousands of people watch it, that's an amazing feeling. It's just the making process can be a bit stressful. Whereas a podcast, in one day, you can make 3 podcasts back to back, and it takes like 2 or 3 hours, and it's quite fun. The co-host, Pete Donaldson, who I've been doing it with, has been just so good and so nice. He's a professional radio DJ, so it's kind of, that's what I needed. I needed someone like that to help me through. But yeah, it's off to a good start, I think. But what do you think? Let me know. I guess stuff in the news. What else? I read a story about a Japanese guy recently who was going to win the Guinness World Record for being the oldest person in Japan, and the Guinness World Record team went round there to knock on his door and be like, "Good, well done, Mr. Kato. You've won the Guinness World Record for being the oldest man in Japan at the ripe old age of 111. They got there and they found Mr. Kato had been dead for 30 years because his family had not reported his death to the authorities, and thus his mummified body was just there and had been for 30 years. They didn't report it because his family were collecting his pension for 30 years. Get away with that. Actually, no, that's if you can get away with it, don't. That's disgusting. But anyway, that's another thing I read about that kind of, it's been a weird day reading articles like that. Anyway, let's see what you think of the podcast. Listen to the first and most of the second. I enjoyed both of them. Most of the second. It's amazing, really liked it. The first was a bit slow, but the second was awesome. Made me laugh out loud in the airplane. Brilliant. That's an achievement. I'll go for that. Only listened to the first episode, but really enjoyed listening to both. Podcasts are really nice. I didn't think I would be actually enjoying these chats, but I do. I like how they include very random things. Yeah, that's a good point. I think the only criticism is it's a little bit too random sometimes, isn't it? The first 2 podcasts we've done, sometimes we can lose focus a little bit and it just goes off a bit more like a chat. In the next episodes, we're going to have a bit more structure going into it. The next 2 podcasts, we're going to focus on space in Japan, talking about Japan's strange relationship with space. not outer space, like physical space, like small apartments, capsule hotels, love hotels, how all these kind of cultural elements have sprung up as a result of Japan being kind of conscious about its sense of space. So that's going to be the next one. And then the one after that, I can't remember what it's about. But anyway, that's what it's about. If you ever have any stories or anything interesting you want to send into the podcast, though, the email address is abroadinjapanpodcast@gmail.com. If you've got a story about anything really that's interesting, feel free to send it in, and we might read out your story. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into the questions. You've got lots of good questions here this week, guys. Really good questions, actually. Not that the questions you send in aren't normally good, but yeah, this week I went, they're really good this week. So yeah. Let's start with, do you and Natsuki... Oh, I also asked you guys to send in your favourite Japanese word this week with your questions, so I'm going to read those out as well. Thought it'd be a bit interesting to see what is your favourite word. So, Valestra says, do you and Natsuki have any other amazing and wild adventures planned outside Japan? If so, where? And your favourite word is natsukashi. Natsukashi, which means nostalgic, which is a good word. You hear it a lot. When I was back in Yamagata recently, I was with a Japanese friend who hadn't been back there in a while, and they were walking down the streets just going, "Oh, natsukashi ne, natsukashi," which means like, wow, nostalgic. I feel sad. I have lots of memories from this place, kind of thing. So that's a really good word. In terms of Natsuki, I'm actually meeting him in about 10 days. Natsuki and I are going to Tokyo and actually making some videos. We're still working out what they're going to be about. We haven't got that far yet, but yeah, hopefully it'll be good. Just got to try and work out what to do. If you've got any ideas on what Natsuki and I should make videos about in Tokyo, again, go ahead and leave it in the comment section. But I haven't actually seen Natsuki since, I think, the live show we did before this one, back in December, unfortunately. We did a bit of filming for Natsuki the movie, but I've been either in Sendai or travelling around. So I haven't actually got to see him that much. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with him and seeing how he's doing and seeing and making things. So that's going to be good. But we haven't got any plans to travel outside Japan, which leads me to the next question. With the impending release of Natsuki the movie, says Sean, are there any thoughts of pursuing a sequel? And his favourite word is yakiniku, which means grilled meat, grilled barbecue meat, yakiniku. With the impending release of Natsuki the movie, I haven't thought about doing a sequel, but I've been thinking about what kind of large-scale project to do next. After I've got loads of videos to put out until about March, and then Natsuki the movie, hopefully at the end of March. And then after that, I have like no plan, and it's quite refreshing and exciting to have that kind of big open space. The rest of the year, I have nothing planned, and I'm just going to sit down and think about what kind of awesome shit I want to do, what kind of massive scale projects I want to dive into. So yeah, it's quite exciting. I don't know if there'll be a sequel to Natsuki the movie, unless it does really well, and it's in like the front fucking covers of newspapers around the world as being a game-changing documentary, and it wins competitions and stuff. If that happens, yeah, there'll be a sequel, but it all depends how it goes down. And Tai Tai in the comments section has said, "Life of Ryotaro." Ryotaro seriously had my curiosity. Does he? Ryotaro has your curiosity. We already have so much of Ryotaro on the channel that we don't really need Ryotaro the movie, to be honest. He's just everywhere in the videos at the moment. In fact, we've got 2 more videos with Ryotaro out this month. One this week where him and I go and visit the land of ramen, the capital of ramen in Japan, a little town called Kitakata in Tohoku that has the highest proportion of ramen shops throughout Japan. I think it's a little town with like 10,000 people, but they've got like 500 ramen shops or something. So it's an absurd town. So that's what we're doing this week. Yeah, so no Ryotaro the movie for now. His ego is already too big for a movie anyway. Then again, I suppose Natsuki's is as well. I think all my Japanese friends seem to be quite egotistical, like myself. Natsuki, Ryotaro, Yuki not so much, but Natsuki and Ryotaro certainly head-exploding levels of ego there. Anyway, I'll dive into the comments. I listen to the podcast in the train and people stare at me for laughing and crying. That's good. I like that. That's my goal, to make people like look awkward and stupid on the train. If I can do that, then I know I've succeeded. Actually, the podcasts have done quite well though. If you go on iTunes in the UK, they're actually, the Abroad in Japan podcast is now like one of the top kind of 5 new up and coming podcasts, which is really exciting. And I guess another reason I did it is there aren't that many podcasts about Japan. Like if you ask someone what podcast is there about Japan, nobody will give you a definitive answer. And I certainly can't really find one that sticks out. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you know one that I don't. But yeah, I've never really seen a good podcast about Japan. So I kind of felt like I could fill that gap in the market and have a bit of fun along the way. And of course, make people look awkward when they laugh on trains. That's that's my goal. Hartlepool, Chris. Considered bringing that into the Hartlepool though, Chris. Consider bringing that to the podcast for Japanese listeners, says Andrea. Yes, Andrea is referring to Pete Donaldson, my co-host. He's from Hartlepool, which is a town in the north, quite far north, so far north in the UK that I've never been up there, unfortunately, with quite a strong accent. Pete does have a little bit of an accent, and I did worry, actually, that people from outside the UK would struggle to understand what he's saying, especially as I don't understand what he's saying at least 20% of the time. But so far it seems to have worked out all right. I think he gets around it by just having a nice demeanour and sounding nice on the microphone. So, yeah, I think he gets away with it, despite his wacky pronunciation. I tried real ramen for the first time this week, says Jack Johnson. I've had it every day since. That's quite a lot of ramen, isn't it, Jack? Is that a safe amount? And I think there must be such a thing as ramen poisoning. Because like ramen, whilst it is delicious and brilliant, it is basically just a bowl of liquid salt. And if you have more than like 3 bowls in a week, it won't do you much good. But I'm glad you've got into the world of ramen. Where did you try it? Where was the ramen that you tried? Was it in Japan or outside Japan? Big difference there, I guess. Although ramen is quite good in the UK these days. So I must say, Chris, I was never really interested in Japan, but you really make me want to go there every year since it's just a 6-hour flight. Well, that's nice, Nick. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's quite nice. I don't normally read out compliments because I feel a bit awkward doing that, but that's really nice. So thank you, Nick. And I hope you've actually gone there, despite being a 6-hour flight. It's pretty close. You must live in North Australia or Singapore. The main question is, says Bogdan, does Ryotaro enjoy himself being in videos? Now that's an interesting question, isn't it? Does Ryotaro enjoy being in the videos? And the answer is yes, he does. Sometimes I put the pressure on him too much because I try to get him to act like a real presenter sometimes and give us information and knowledge, and then he forces it too much. The up-and-coming video where we travel around Tohoku go to the ramen town, Ryotaro was really good, actually. I said to him, don't be serious, just be yourself, be a bit wacky and crazy. And he's like more laid back than ever before. And he's really good. He's on top form, and he does lots of silly faces, so which makes me look good and him not so good. But yeah, he's in his element in the new video, and he does enjoy making the videos. I wouldn't make videos or present podcasts or do anything with anybody if they didn't enjoy being on camera. Which wouldn't work, would it? It'd be a nightmare. Have you recorded a while series of podcasts in London, or are future podcasts get recorded of 3 podcasts with Pete in his studio in Absolute Radio? So the quality is really good, but when we do it over Skype or over the internet, I've got a professional microphone, as he does, his end, and basically I'm just going to record it locally to my laptop. Then he can combine it, edit it, and it will sound like we're in the same room. And we've tested out the microphones, and they're basically the same quality. So hopefully it won't sound like a disjointed kind of conversation. So fingers crossed it'll be all right. I think it'll be good. But that was a top concern of mine. Doing a podcast with someone who's 8,000 miles away is a little bit challenging, but apparently a lot of podcasts are done like that. So I think we'll be all right. Not too worried about that. Chris makes me want to go to Japan and eat fried chicken. Is that it? You want to come all this way just to eat some fried chicken? To be honest, there's nothing wrong with that. Right, let's dive into some more questions from you guys. Clara says, what is the overall goal of your channel, how will the podcast build on that? That's a bold question, isn't it? And Clara's favorite word in Japanese is hisho, which means certain victory. Hisho, certain victory. Well, Clara, my overall goal of the channel and of the podcast is hisho. It is certain victory, which is quite vague. Basically, I don't know really. What is my overall goal? My overall goal is to educate and entertain and have fun along the way. Make things that people enjoy and learn from and have fun whilst doing it. And also to just have the #1 YouTube channel and podcast about Japan. That's kind of my goal. That'd be quite cool. I was told recently that I did actually have the #1 Japan vlog, J vlog, in terms of subscribers and stuff. Yeah, I guess I don't know if that's true or not. I do know that I've got friends Simon and Martina and Rachel and Jin who over 1 million subscribers, but as a single, just one person channel, then maybe I do, or maybe they're not technically J bloggers. I don't know, but anyway, I feel happy with my position. But yeah, my overall goal is just to have fun. Really, there isn't a specific aim. The only aim I've ever had, and this is why I think I've had success whilst other channels haven't, is I've just made sure that every video I work on is as good as it can be. It's as fun and as well edited and well produced that I could do at that time. So in the early days, back when I started this channel, it took like 1 month to make a video, right? So if you look at my second video, the living in Japan culture shock video, that took like 2 or 3 weeks to make. And now it takes like 3 or 4 days to make a video, but I still refuse to put out a video that I don't think is like a 7 out of 10 or higher. Yeah, I try and make sure every video I do is as good as it can be. And I recommend that to anybody doing anything artistic or anything creative. Try and make the best thing you can and focus on that. And hopefully the success will follow. So yeah, good question though, thank you. Do I need any vaccinations for traveling to Japan? Says James Bond. And his keyword, James Bond's favorite Japanese word is senpai. Bond has no senpai, so it doesn't really work, does it? But no, you don't need any vaccinations. Oh, and for those of you that don't know what senpai means, in Japan, everybody has like a senpai and a kohai. Senpai is someone you look up to. It's kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? What is it? Not like a mentor, kind of a mentor. It can be a classmate or somebody who's slightly older than you or the year above you at school. And if you're a kohai, that means you're kind of below, right? So if you're in that upper year at school, you're the senpai to younger students, and the younger students are kohais. So yeah. Do you need any vaccinations for traveling in rural Japan? No, you don't. Don't worry about it. Although actually that's technically not true. I've just realized I did have vaccinations before I came to Japan, but that was like 6 years ago, so I've forgotten what they were. I think it was typhoid and dengue fever. I'm not sure. Definitely check that out. Don't listen to me there because that would be awful. But yeah, I think that's because I was living in Japan for a long time. Really, you don't need vaccinations. I mean, Japan's very clean and safe and better than most countries, so I don't think you have to worry. Don't worry. No vaccinations required. Right, back into the comments. How is Ryotaro trying to kill you this time? Says Rugby. Rugby's for Aaron. He doesn't actually try to kill me. We've kind of finished that narrative for now. And he didn't. And John says, did he pack his German sausages? No, he didn't. We've had to move on to some new jokes now. The narrative of the last year or two was that Ryotaro was trying to kill me and that he had an obsession with sausages. This year, we'll have to think up a new weird narrative kind of thing that goes across the videos. Still working on that. But yeah, Ryotaro has finally stopped trying to kill me because I think he likes me now. I think we're friends once and for all, rather than people that just travel around filming stuff. Britain has run out fried chicken with the KFC screw-up, so I thought it might be worth a visit to Japan for fried chicken. You could just go to France. Much easier and quicker, isn't it? So, I guess people around the world who don't know about that would be bemused by that. So basically in the UK at the moment, KFC switched its delivery service, the people that deliver chicken, to all the outlets. And now KFC has no chicken. And for like a week or two, none of the branches were operational in the UK, and lots of people got angry that there was no KFC. What does that tell you about the UK? It's pretty it's pretty sad, isn't it? But still, it's a weird day when all the KFCs stop working, and a bad day indeed. Right, more questions. Is there? Oh yeah, I guess I missed that out from the whole what I've been doing recently. So recently I went to the UK. That's why I've been a little bit radio silent the last 2 or 3 weeks. While I was back in the UK, of course, I was getting the podcast up and running and filming that with Pete and sitting down and working out. But also, if you become a social media person, I hate the title, social media influencer. Is a horrible thing. To be called a social media influencer is the worst thing ever. But inevitably, that's the position I find myself in with the YouTube channel and everything. So as a social media influencer, though, you're constantly bombarded with Instagram comments, Facebook comments, emails, everything coming at you, right? And whilst I've kind of adapted to that over the years and got used to it, I needed a break. I needed to just kind of get away from it all and not pay too much attention. So I kind of, when I was in the UK, I took a step back from everything because I really haven't stopped. The last year, it was very, very intense. There was always a video I was making, a video I was editing. I was always traveling somewhere. There was Natsuki the movie. There was all the other videos. So I needed a break from it. And so, yeah, when I was in the UK, I took a break and basically ate a lot of food. And so to answer Joel's question, is there anything you took advantage of in the UK that you can't do in Japan? And his favourite word is futoru, which means to get fat, futoru, because it describes Joel's winter regrets, because apparently Joel gets fat in winter. So, which is something I can relate to as well, Joel. Yeah, in the UK, things I couldn't do in Japan. I ate a lot of food, obviously, in terms of bacon and cheese. I had a fry-up, which is eggs, bacon, sausages, every morning while I was in the UK. And I think I put on like 5 kilograms in the space of 3 weeks while I was in the UK, which is shocking. I know, but I'll get rid of it. Don't worry. I'll get rid of it. Also, I saw Shakespeare's house. I had a little tour of the North UK with some friends. I caught up with a friend or two, and I went to Shakespeare's house in Stratford-upon-Avon, and it's quite a nice house. I was quite jealous of Shakespeare's house because it's bigger than my fucking apartment. My apartment's so damn small. I'm starting to get quite resentful of that. Yeah, Shakespeare had a bigger house than I did, and he's 500 years old. Oh, bastard. What else? I went to Cambridge. Cambridge is quite nice. Cambridge is an interesting city. I felt a real sense of inequality. Apparently, Cambridge is one of the most unequal, like has some of the worst inequality in the whole of the UK, and I could see it. Like one street you'd go down and you feel like you're in Harry Potter with cathedrals and sparkling, nice shiny churches, and then you turn right and it'd be a really kind of deprived street, a lot of unfortunate homeless people there, and it was a real sense of disparity in Cambridge. But other than that, it was lovely. And I also rented a really nice car. This sounds bad, I know, but I rented when I was driving around the UK, I rented a BMW 3 Series, which isn't something I'd normally do. I'm not a car person. I don't like big fast cars. I'm not into all that. But for the same price in the UK of renting a BMW 3 Series, a nice kind of sporty car, in Japan, it costs the same amount. I think it was like 50 or 60 pounds a day for a BMW 3 Series, whereas in Japan you get like a Toyota Vitz, a little crappy Toyota car, same price. So I thought, well, might as well just get a BMW then and drive around. And I got my first speeding ticket. And yeah, if you get a nice sports car, and don't underestimate the power of a BMW, as I did. I was very stupid. So that was my time in the UK, and I've come back and I feel more fucking ready to take on things than ever before. I'm actually quite energetic and happy at the moment because it's just nice to come back. It's really nice. After 3 weeks away, you come back to your job more ready than ever before. So, all right, let's dive into the comments. Chris, can you do a review on locomotives in Japan? At least one, please, says Bogdan. Don't know if that'll be interesting. I know I've never made a video about Shinkansen. That said, though, last month I was talking to Ryotaro. There's a train in Japan that's like the Orient Express. It costs $7,000, this train, and you stay on it for 2 nights, I think 2 or 3 nights, $7,000. And you go around like a little bit of Japan. Like the one we were looking at, it starts in Tokyo and goes all the way up to Hokkaido over a 3-day period. So you get 3 days, 2 nights, and along the way you stop at nice places. But if you look up this train, it is insane. The carriages on the train are like, it looks like a 5-star hotel. It's quite impressive. There's like a fucking fireplace in the train. And you get these really nice kind of big rooms, and it doesn't look like a train at all. And apparently it's all the craze in Japan at the moment, these massive, expensive trains. So I said to Ryotaro, like, why don't we make a video about that? Let's get on the train. Like, I want to go on that. Sounds awesome. But he said he'd already spoken to the train company about us making a video on it, and they weren't interested because they already have so much publicity they don't need it. So I was like, oh, fine. It could have been on the Abroad in Japan channel, which is the ultimate achievement. But yeah, they didn't need it. They were like, no, we don't want any more publicity. We've already got a massive waiting list for like 6 months or something, 2 years. So they didn't need us. So quite sad about that. Wanted to go on that train. So that's probably the only time that I would have made a video about locomotive. So ain't gonna happen, I don't think, other than that. I heard the Harry Potter series, says Ray. I heard the Harry Potter series was altered to be a better read for different countries. They mentioned that for Japanese readers, Hagrid was given a Tohoku dialect. Have you noticed a difference? That's quite interesting. I didn't know that. And I didn't know that. And even if I could, I don't think I'd be able to read a Tohoku dialect. I don't even know what Tohoku dialect is. But that's quite interesting. I'll have to check that out. Anything to boost the sales of the Harry Potter franchise. Right, let's dive into some more questions, guys. How do you feel? Oh no, God. All right, how challenging is it to drive in Japan for a UK motorist? I'm thinking of renting for our holiday in September as we're driving around Central and North Honshu. Should we get a car? Says Simon. And his favourite Japanese word is barcode hair, or barcode, I can't say it. Barcode no hito, which means barcode hair, apparently. I didn't really know what this phrase was until I looked it up. And apparently this phrase, barcode hair or barcode person in Japanese, literally is referring to when you have your hair across like that, right? You have your hair all combed over and it looks like a barcode because of the stripes, like because of the stripy nature of the hair, right? When you comb it over. And they call that barcode hair in Japan. I didn't know that. So that's quite an interesting fact. But anyway, Simon says, how challenging is it to drive in Japan if you're a UK motorist? It's not challenging at all, no problem, because in Japan, they drive on the same side of the road, same side as the road. Can't talk today, shit. They drive on the same side of the road as we do in the UK, the correct side of the road, right? The correct side, the left side of the road, which is good for UK drivers, not so good for American people, unfortunately. Yeah, if you're an American living in Japan, or I think anyone who drives on the other side of the road on the right, you have to, if you live in Japan and after a year your international driving license expires and you get a Japanese license, you have to take this really specialized, difficult test that takes like 2 or 3 times on average for people to pass, which is a bit annoying. Whereas if you drive on the left-hand side of the road, like we do in the UK, and you live in Japan and you get your Japanese driver's license, there's no test. They literally asked me like 3 really stupid questions. They said like, they didn't even ask me about driving. They said, if we send you your driver's license, how do you want us to send it? And I was like, through the post box, through the mail. And they were like, all right. And that was the question. That was the fucking question they asked me to get a driver's license in Japan. So yeah, meanwhile, my American friends were like driving through a slalom course, like going like in a kind of exciting stunt course to pass their driver's test. And I was being asked how I wanted my driver's license to be mailed to me. So yeah, a bit weird. So yeah, no, you won't have any problems driving in the car in Japan, Simon. And I will definitely say to you, do rent a car. If you're coming to Japan and you plan to travel outside Tokyo and travel outside of the east, if you want to go up east, northeast Japan to Tohoku and central Honshu, where there's lots of mountains and things, I wouldn't recommend going by train there. It's a bit of a nightmare. You'd have lots of connectivity issues. You'd spend most of your time traveling around. If you get a car, that is the best way to see places like Tohoku. And yeah, I highly recommend getting a car. You'll have a lot more kind of adventurous experience. Only downside to driving in Japan is toll roads, which we don't have in the UK. So that took me a bit of getting used to. The idea of paying for roads, oh, it's horrible. Sucks. How is the economy now in Japan? Says Radix Monkey Studios, which is a funky name. The economy in Japan now is kind of not doing a whole lot. I think it's kind of stable. It's not really going anywhere, unfortunately. The economy of Japan, it was going up until the 80s, and then the bubble burst, and it hasn't really done a lot since. It's quite depressing. Like the Japanese and American economies were kind of not too far off each other at one point in the late 80s, and then Japan stopped growing, and like America has about 10 times the economy now. So yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Japanese people when I talk about the 80s, because it sounds like just an amazing time, and I'd love to like experience Japan in the 80s if I could go back in time, because everyone had loads of money apparently. I was told like people literally like throwing money in the streets, and it all gone to their heads a bit in Japan. Everyone was going a bit crazy with money, so maybe it was a good thing the bubble burst to some extent, although it did ruin things in the 90s. But yeah, the economy now kind of stable, nothing really happening. Unemployment is very low though in Japan. I think it's at 4%, which is one of the lowest in the world. So things aren't too bad here in that regard. Have you been drinking? Says Lynette. No, I haven't been drinking. Why? Am I acting drunk? If I'm acting weird, it's because it's 10:30 p.m. and yeah, I'm more of an 8 p.m. person. If we did these videos at 8 p.m., I'd be like, yeah, well, I'd be like a lot better. I'd be 3 times what I am now. But because of the nature of time zones, we have to do it at 10 p.m. And even that's inconvenient for a lot of you guys around the world. So yeah, it's the trouble with this time difference crap. If only there's a way around it. But I'm gonna have this coffee now, and this will make me even more energetic and brilliant. And it won't let me sleep, so that's good. All right, let's look at some more questions. There's a lot of commentary going on about dieting in the comments section. Lots of people talking about losing weight and stuff. There's a nice conversation going on there. I made them bloody hell. D Saunders said, I made the mistake of going from Akita to Matsumoto on my holiday. It was a long day on trains. Oh my lord. That's like as far as you could go, isn't it? That's quite a long way. Akita to Matsumoto must have taken like 8 or 9 hours. Stuff that. Did you watch any more Netflix during your break? Anything cool? I did watch. No, I didn't watch any Netflix. I started watching Altered Carbon, and then I lost interest because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what they were getting at, and it just felt wrong. Altered Carbon. All right. Some good coffee. Actually, it's not good coffee. Canned coffee in Japan, you can taste the can. I mean, that's probably the same the world over, but you can really taste the tinniness of the can. It's horrible. Right, let's dive into the questions before we talk more about cans. How have you been? Well, how have you been? Says the coolest fan. Have you been well? Stressed? Happy? And the coolest fan's favorite Japanese phrase is, oh fucking hell, I can't even say it. Not 10:30. I can't say this. Atataku nakata. Oh god, this is Atataku nakata kara atatakai fuku o tsukutta, which is a phrase about not being hot and not being cold and a wind. Thanks for that annoying phrase. Shot me down there. I was well, to answer your question, I was well, but that bloody Japanese phrase of yours just stressed me out. I can't say atatakunai, which means not warm. It's a bloody hard phrase to say. Tatakunakata. Fuck. The word warm, the negative past tense form of not warm is a bit of a tongue twister, and I've never been able to say it. So, yeah. Damn word. How do you feel when you return to Japan from your UK trip? Can you say that you are coming home? says Bogdan. And Bogdan's favourite phrase is yada yada, which means oh dear or dear me, yada yada. How do I feel when I come back to Japan? I feel that I guess after 2 or 3 weeks in the UK, I do feel like it's time to come back. But that's because my like life, my work is here, right? Here in Japan, I've talked about this before. Here in Japan, I have a sense of purpose. I'm a YouTuber guy who makes videos and content about Japan. When I'm in the UK, I just feel like I'm a scrounger. I'm not really doing anything. I'm eating and sitting around. So yeah, in Japan, I feel like I have purpose. Do I call it home? I used to. I used to feel like Japan was my home, but more recently, I haven't, because, and that's nothing to do with Japan really. It's actually where I live. I live in Sendai, and Sendai is a lovely city, great place, recommend it. But I've never really kind of integrated into Sendai, and that was a conscious decision, to be fair, because I'm not really in Sendai that much. I'm often traveling around Japan making videos, right? So I kind of, and I didn't want people to recognize me in Sendai. That's one of the best things about being in Sendai. I only get recognized like 2 or 3 times a month. Whereas if I go to Tokyo, it happens like 4 or 5 times a day. So I live in Sendai, but I don't feel a strong connection with Sendai. And that's kind of why I don't feel like I'm home. I used to feel like I was at home in Yamagata Prefecture in Sakata, where like Natsuki and all my friends were, because I had a lot of friends around me, and I felt like I was a part of the community. But in Sendai, I haven't got engaged. I don't have that many friends here, so I've kind of felt a bit like Sendai's not my home. It's just a place where I sit around, do some work, and it's more of a stopping off point, which is a shame, really. I often did think about moving back to Sakata and moving back to Yamagata, because whilst it is a little bit difficult to get around from there, it's not particularly well connected to Tokyo. After all, Sendai to Tokyo takes 90 minutes. So one of my friends who lives in Tokyo told me it took them 1 hour and 20 minutes to get into Tokyo from the outskirts of Tokyo. So I felt quite smug, being like, oh yeah, I can travel from Sendai in 90 minutes, so I can beat you into Tokyo almost. And I live like 500 kilometers away or something. So, but I did think about moving over to Yamagata on the west side of Japan, on the west coast again. But I don't know. I don't think there's enough things happening there, and I don't think it's well connected enough. So I think I'll stay in Sendai for now. Yeah, I'm still happy though. Sendai might not be my home, but I still feel kind of happy about that. You know, And also living in an apartment. I've lived in apartments for 5 years now, and when you live in an apartment like this that you're renting, you feel very conscious of the fact that it's not your home. It's kind of somewhere that you're going to give away again in a few years. So I'm very careful about the things I buy. Like living in an apartment like this, like a small apartment for a start. I mean, it's Japan, right? The apartments are going to be small. I've become very conscious of the things I put in it, and it's made me very reflective on materialism and stuff. So I don't buy that many things anymore, and I don't put too much stuff in my apartment, and that is another reason why it doesn't feel like home. So I've got the whole apartment covered in fake plants, which I can easily dispose of if I move. But my original plan was to try and fit all my life into one backpack, a bit like that movie Up in the Air with George Clooney. Good movie, recommend it. I wanted to try and fit all my life in one backpack, which you can do kind of if you're a YouTuber. You just need a camera and your laptop, right, and the internet, and you can put all that in a backpack. But it's not practical. Not practical. Do you ever plan to buy property in Japan? Says David. All right, David, good to see you again. Do I plan to buy property in Japan? I don't actually know if you can if you're a foreigner. That's another thing. Even if I did buy property in Japan, if I could, and I don't know if I can, the property prices in Japan are constantly like going down. Like in the UK and in most countries where we have this image that property prices are constantly going up, especially in the UK, of course. But in Japan, they kind of go down in value because a lot of apartments, a lot of houses are kind of only last 50, 60 years, and then they're just bulldozed and disposed of because they're made of like cardboard and wood. Whereas houses in the UK are made of bricks, and they last until the end of time. So, yeah, I wouldn't buy a property in Japan because I feel like I've just lost loads of money for that reason. So, yeah, Japan and property, it's annoying. It's very annoying. All right, let's dive into some questions. I got 14 real plants in my bedroom, says John. Well, you win. I've got 4 fake plants in my apartment. And I did have some real plants once, but I forgot to water them. They all died. And I was so resentful, I decided never, ever to buy real plants again. So, no. Well, can you get citizenship in Japan? Is it easy? I don't know. See, everyone I know who's got citizenship in Japan has either lived here for 10 years or, and this is the easy way in, get married to someone who's Japanese. Yeah, you often meet people who got married just for a visa into Japan, and it's a little bit depressing when you hear that, but it is the easiest way by far. Of course, a lot of people do it for love, but you do hear a lot of people doing it for visas. And I think, yeah, that's the shortcut. So if you want to get citizenship in Japan, just marry someone who's Japanese, and you're sorted. You get a visa in like 10 minutes if you do it that way. Meanwhile, you have 4 fake plants, but you have 2 couches. I do. I feel quite greedy now. Actually, that's not true. I have 3 couches. I have this one here, that one over there, and you can kind of see just there. It's a little fold-out couch there. And all of them are fabulously cheap and all bought from IKEA, and they're all falling apart, as you'd expect. So, yeah, I'm not a swanky, luxurious person who buys sofas all the time. It's very, very cheap, disgustingly cheap. The miracle of IKEA. Right, more questions, guys. Will there be a Kyushu travel video this year? Says Mike. I want to see if the onsen roller coasters are real. And Mike's favourite Japanese word is choto, which means like a little bit. Choto. You hear it all the time. Like the place you hear choto the most is like when you're dealing with shop staff, and they're like, choto mate kudasai. Just wait a little bit. Choto means a little bit. Maybe if someone says to you, how much ramen do you want, or how much rice do you want? Yeah, choto dake, just a little bit. Choto dake. Yeah, I think I'll go to Kyushu this year. This onsen theme park you speak of was in the media quite a lot last year, right? As you'd expect, because there was a nice video on the online everywhere where there was people on roller coasters, sitting in roller coasters with onsen water in the roller coaster, which you'd think is obscenely dangerous. But yeah, no, this onsen theme park, what's it called? I've written it down. It's called Uenchi Theme Park. It's a pop-up theme park. Basically, the theme park already existed, but they spent some money and kind of made it into an onsen theme park, where there's things like a roller coaster that doesn't have water in it, but it's got foam, which isn't quite as good, but it's still quite cool, I guess. And there's a merry-go-round where the things you sit in on the merry-go-round are filled with water. So yeah, it's not quite as exciting as the video made it out to be last year, but I guess it's still interesting. But I do want to go to Kyushu. It's the only place in Japan that I haven't been yet. And yeah, I feel like once I've done that, I've kind of been everywhere. So yeah, I'm going to go there before the year's out. That's my goal. And I may or may not go to the onsen theme park. I'll probably give it a miss, unless I see something. There's probably better things to do if you're going to go all the way to Kyushu than go in a roller coaster where there's foam on the roller coaster. I don't know. What else is there to do in Kyushu? Kagoshima, the nice town with the volcano, and Fukuoka, where there's ramen and stuff. Oh yeah, and Scrublet. So many unique names in the comment section here. Scrublet says where you can meet Dogen. I can meet Dogen, my good friend Dogen. I'd love to go down there and meet him, actually. Will, with all the chairs, why did you... Tai says, with all the chairs you've got in your apartment, why did you let Fuji TV sit on the floor? It's a good point, isn't it? We sat over there, I was on the sofa, and they were all on the floor. That was their decision, actually. When Fuji TV came over, and we did the little TV show thing, while I was talking to one of the camera people, the directors and the presenters went in there, and they moved my apartment around a little bit, and then they kind of just decided that they wanted to go on the floor, and I would sit on the sofa. So I was like, all right, fine. Bit weird, but gave it a nice kind of informal atmosphere, which I enjoyed. But yeah, that was them, not me. Well, I'm not that mean. Wouldn't have I wouldn't have the biggest morning TV show in my apartment and then be like, "You're on the floor. Get on the fucking floor." I'm not that bad. Probably. There's a good point there. With 3 sofas, what were they thinking? How that ramen museum, that would be a fun video. Okay, right. So, what other questions have we got? Okay, the beatboxing dog you posted on your the beatboxing dog you posted on your non-verified Twitter account. Thanks for rubbing that in. Is adorable. Why did you take the video down? Says Naomi. Well, Naomi, first of all, thanks for rubbing the non-Twitter verified account thing in. And your favourite word is yomofukushi, which is drinking welfare, and it's a phrase. I actually didn't know this. I've never heard it. Yomofukushi means people who drink their welfare money away, referring to homeless people, people who are just not doing well, who sit around drinking alcohol all day, drinking their problems away. Quite an interesting phrase there, yomofukushi. Yeah. So I put up a video on Twitter of a beatboxing dog the other day, and on Instagram. I tend to do videos quite often on both, and I removed it. And the reason I moved it, the beatboxing dog, was because while it was fairly witty, seeing a beatboxing dog, it was a bit weird, and I didn't really. I put it up. I put a lot of things up that I later remove, and I recommend this to all social media influencer people, wannabe people. Sometimes you make things that you later regret, and that often happens. I often make videos, I put them up, and then I take them down a few hours later. I take them down for 2 reasons. One of 2 reasons. Number one, it doesn't do well. So often if I put up a picture or a video on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, and it doesn't do very well, like it gets like 200 likes or something, then I'll quickly remove it and get rid of it, and you'll never see it again. Just because I want to keep the average number of views up. Secondly, I often remove stuff just because I put it up sometimes when I'm drunk, sometimes when I'm in a weird mood, and then an hour later I'll go, why the fuck did I put that up? And the beatboxing dog falls under that category, along with the video I put up 2 or 3 days ago of me as a dancing pumpkin using a stupid Japanese photo app called Snow, where you kind of film yourself. It's an augmented reality app. You film yourself doing that, and then it puts your face on a dancing pumpkin, a bit like the creepy video I did last year, actually, where we had that. And I put it up, and I thought, why the fuck have I done that? And I got rid of it. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. Hopefully not. But yeah, so I often put up things that I later remove for that reason. Yeah. My favourite word is nomi hodai, all you can drink. Yeah, that's a good word. Nomi hodai and tabe hodai. 2 words you do well to remember if you come into Japan. Nomi hodai, which is all you can drink, is a lot more common than tabe hodai. And if you're going out for a drink in Tokyo, like on your holiday, try and find somewhere that does nomi hodai, because you'll save so much money, and it's so nice to look at the menu and not have to worry about money. You usually you'll pay a flat rate of about 2,000 yen for 2 hours. All you can drink. You've got whiskey and beer and sake and plum wine at your disposal, and it's brilliant. So always do nomi hodai if you're a drinker. All right, so feel free to shoot some questions at me, guys, in the comments section. Shoot away. I will be turning my attention towards the comments section now. I always wonder, yeah, shoot away while I drink this coffee, and I'll have a quick read. A while ago, do you have any favourite Japanese films? Says Rina Saito. My favourite Japanese film is two favourite Japanese movies, actually. Number 1, Okuribito, which is Departures in English. Okuribito is about a guy who is in an orchestra in Tokyo, and he loses his job, and he goes home to Yamagata, to the town of Sakuta, where I used to live. And he becomes a guy who works at a funeral parlour, and it sounds kind of depressing and weird, but it's actually a really funny movie and really heartwarming. And has a special place in my heart because before I came to Japan, before I got on the JET program and came to Japan to teach, I saw the movie, I saw Departures, and I thought that's an amazing movie. And then I found out I was being placed in Sakata, and I got there and I started looking around the town, and I realised a lot of the buildings that I was like in my town were in Okuribito. So I looked it up, and the bloody film was set in the town. So I was like, wow, I live in the town where my favourite Japanese movie is, and I didn't know that until now. So that was a really cool moment. It felt like fate or something, because I was completely put at random in that town. So yeah, it was kind of weird thing to have that happen. So Okuribito, amazing movie, and it feels intertwined with my destiny in Japan, I guess. And also the second is Tampopo, which I've talked about before. Tampopo, which is a movie, a ramen western. Two truck drivers turn up at a failing ramen shop and improve it dramatically through a series of weird events. That's the best way I could describe it. It's a really great 80s movie, and it's hilarious. It's so unique, and it's got Ken Watanabe in it. So yeah, those are my two favourite movies, Tampopo and Okuribito. Yeah. Do you think you'll still be in Japan in 5 years? If not, will you still do YouTube? Says Jack. I don't know, Jack. It's a difficult question, isn't it? I tend not to plan more than 5 years ahead. I think planning 5 years ahead is too much. I try and do 3 years, and I still plan to be in Japan in 3 years' time. I know that much, and I'll still be doing YouTube. So yeah, no, I'll still be in Japan doing YouTube in 3 years' time, I imagine. So yeah, unless something goes horribly wrong, God forbid. Don't know what would go wrong, but yeah, that's the plan. As I said, I originally planned to, as I said before, previous live show, I did plan to originally leave Japan after teaching, but because this all turned out quite well, the YouTube thing turned out well, I decided to stay and throw all my effort into being a YouTuber. So yeah, funny how things turn out. There was never really a plan when I became a YouTuber person. You know, there was never really a plan. It wasn't until 2.5 years in being a YouTuber that I went, oh, it's probably a career I could have out of this. I always said to friends, if I could get 100,000 subscribers, then I'd consider doing it full time or making it into a career. And yeah, it happened. It happened in about 2.5 years, I think it took to get to 100,000 subscribers. And so I had to stay true to my word and actually do it. So yeah, but there was never really a plan. I would recommend to people try and plan 3 years ahead though. Give you a sense of direction and motivation. It's what I always tell people. Yeah, try and plan 3 years ahead and things will fall into place a lot better. Chris, in your videos, you give a lot of advice for low budget traveling. Can you also start including advice for people having enough funds to pay for more, and would like some recommendations from you? Start including advice for people having enough funds to pay for more. What do you mean? How? Start including it. Maybe I'm tired or I'm reading it wrong. Can you also start including advice for people having enough funds to pay for more? Get a credit card. Solved. It sounds like a cheeky dickhead answer, but honestly, I would have been dead by now if it wasn't for the miracle that is credit cards. So yeah, get a credit card. My good friend Dave, who came to Japan 2 years ago to visit, I think he's still paying off his 3-week holiday to Japan on his credit card. So yeah, he had a great time, even if he is paying it off 2 years later. God bless him. But yeah, get a credit card. Honestly, I blew all my money at university. Even though I was working 2 jobs at university, I saved nothing. I just came with a credit card and a suitcase full of dreams. And look at me now. Yeah. That's don't follow that advice. And don't put dreams in a suitcase. They never fit. Chris, imagine how popular it would be if you would do tours with people for cash around Tokyo. I don't know. I do get a lot of people request that I show them around Japan for a day or two, and I think if I did it for everyone, I don't think I'd have much free time. I don't think I'd be a good tour guide either. Yeah, I wouldn't be a very good tour guide, I'm afraid. I'd be rubbish. I'd be very self-centered and whingy. Like I'd be showing my people around. I'd be showing like a family around of 5 people, and I'd just be moaning. I'd be like, I'm hungry now. Can we go and eat something? And then we'd just eat things all day, and there'd be no tour. So yeah, that's why I'm not a tour guide. I'd just be shit. That's it, basically. Do it for cash though. Could do it for cash around Tokyo, yes. But yeah, I no. I don't. Again, I wouldn't be a very good tour guide, so no. Are you already affiliated to any tourism agency? Because you can really convince people to visit the Tohoku area. I don't work with any specific tourism agency. I've worked with the Japan National Tourism Office to make some videos, like the trip to Hokkaido, up and coming. The good thing is I only work with people that let me have complete creative control, especially with Japanese companies. If you ever work with a Japanese company on anything, you'll find that they want to ruin your video with things they want. Oh God, I've spoken to many vloggers about this. Many vloggers who make videos in Japan, working with Japanese companies doing sponsorships, and they're just like, we want to put this in the video and this and this, and they ruin it, and then you're like, no, and then things go wrong. So yeah, it sucks. Yes, but I do work with some tour companies. Chris, charge a premium and do the tour guide. Everybody wants me to be a tour guide. What is this? Patreon live show. Everyone telling me to be a tour guide. No, I'm not going to be a tour guide just because I'd be crap at it. And I don't know that much. Like, if you're going to get a tour of Tokyo, get someone who really knows their stuff. Probably a Japanese local as well. I think if I took people on a tour, it would just be like, let's go to McDonald's, and then you'd come all the way to Japan just to go to McDonald's, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, get the chicken nuggets, get the Whopper burger. It'd be rubbish. That's my tour of Japan. It'd be like, oh yeah, fried chicken and McDonald's. So no, unless you really like those kind of things, then that would be a good tour, and that's where I would come in. Tai says, oh God, the NHK TV aesthetic. I know what you mean. Yes, NHK Japan. As I mentioned before in one of these live shows about 6 months ago, I did a show with NHK last year where I had to go around looking at some local food, and they sterilized it of humor and made it so that I wasn't really in it. I had lots of funny lines like put in to try and make it entertaining, but not only did they cut me off while I was speaking in the NHK documentary. You can see it still, I think, on NHK World. I think it's online somewhere. Can't remember what it was called though. You can see it, and there's me just walking around rural Tohoku, looking at stuff and going, "Oh, this is good." And they just cut me off halfway through speaking English because the person who edited it clearly didn't know English. So they're like, somebody's like, "What do you think of this, Chris?" And I'm like, "Well, what do I think of this? I think there," and it just cuts me off. Crap editing. But yeah, NHK stuff is just, it's not good, is it? Feels very forced. And I've met someone working for Cool Japan, actually. It was a bit awkward. Really nice guy. I met in a bar in Shinjuku. If you don't know, Cool Japan is a campaign run by Japan to make Japan look cool. And inherently, if you're referring to something as being cool, right, it's not fucking cool, is it? You can't say, oh, I'm really cool Chris campaign. Like, if you're calling something cool, it doesn't work. It's not cool. And so I met some guy who was working for it, and I said, oh, Cool Japan, shit, isn't it? And he said, oh, I worked for that. And I was like, oh, that's awkward. But it turned out he agreed with me, so it was right. But yeah, Cool Japan, it's awful. They have a campaign on Facebook, for example, Cool Japan. They have a campaign where people talk about the moment they felt they were Japanese, right? And they come on stage in front of a crowd of people, and they have to talk about the moment that they felt they were Japanese. And it's just shit. Because people come on and they stand on stage for about 10 seconds. Like, the moment I felt I was Japanese is when I had some ramen. And it's like, ha, 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 yeah, it's brilliant. And that's the kind of stuff you see on Cool Japan and NHK. So I stay away from Japanese TV. I once had a dream to be on Japanese TV, And then I watched Japanese TV for 2 or 3 years and decided not a chance. So no, if you're one of those people who plans on coming to Japan, you have a dream of being on Japanese TV, don't have a dream to be on Japanese TV because it's just depressing and awful. The only way, yeah. Enough about that. Just in case anybody here is watching who is from NHK. I don't have anything against the people who work for NHK, just the NHK as a whole and what the English programs are about. The Japanese embassy, yeah, Radix Monkey Studios again with a cool name, says the Japanese embassy here referred to me to NHK series to help learn Japanese. It hasn't been helpful. Of course it hasn't. I remember watching NHK to learn some Japanese once, and it's just so slow. Like in one episode, there'll be like one fucking phrase. It takes like 20 minutes for them to go, oh, this is a pen. Kore wa pen desu. And it's like, again, don't learn Japanese from TV. It takes too long. It sucks. Oh. Do you think what's this? Have I missed an interesting conversation thread? Do you think he may be married to Ryotaro? Okay. Do you think Chris is married to Ryotaro because he doesn't want to call him Sausage Man anymore, and also says that he doesn't want to kill Chris anymore? Oh, I see. No, we're not married. Well, thank God. I must say though, when I first met Ryotaro, I did think he was gay because he's quite a camp kind of guy. There's something about him. He seems quite feminine at times. There's something about him. I thought he was gay, but he's not gay. He is married. And no, we're not married. I'm not married to him anyway. He's got a wife. Still working my way through this coffee. Do we have any more questions? If you could live somewhere else, where would it be? Says Brian. And Brian's favourite word is oppai. Oppai, which means large breasts. Of course, somebody was going to throw in dodgy word into our lovely Japanese word section, weren't they? Well, Brian, if I could live anywhere else, I think it'd be Spain. And the reason I'd like to live in Spain is because I learned Spanish for 5 years while I was at school. And I was a crap student. I don't really remember anything about it. But then, when I was in Spain about 4 years ago, I actually could pick up stuff. I could hear people talking and know what they were talking about. I could read stuff. It's very exciting. I love the Spanish language, and I'd love to learn it. So I'd like to live in Spain for a little bit if I could. That'd be quite fun. So if I wasn't in Japan, I'd be in Spain. And no, if I was in Spain, I probably don't think I'd have a YouTube channel. I don't think there's a market for abroad in Spain, to be honest. There's probably other YouTubers who are doing that already. Are you secretly married? No, I'm not secretly married. The idea of marriage terrifies me. When I was a teacher, my students always asked me that. What do you think about getting married? And I would like look at them with disgust. It became a kind of a running joke. Yeah, all the girls were like, "When are you going to get married?" And I was like, "Never." And they were like, "Why?" And I was like, "No, because no." And so no, I'm not married. I'm not married at all. I learn more about Japan watching Takeshi's Castle. Good. That's the best way to learn about Japan. A 1980s game show in which people run around a castle falling over, getting injured. What a great way to learn about Japan. All right, guys, what is the time? I actually look. Oh crap! It's 11 o'clock. We're near the end of the show. What I didn't say actually is when I meet Natsuki in 10 days in Tokyo, we're going to do a live show, March live show. So it's a little bit close to this one, but it's our best shot at getting myself in front of the senior diaries, March 5th, March 6th, because it's probably one of those 2 days that we're going to do the show. Actually, I'm going to check that out. I don't even know my own schedule. But one of those 2 days, we're going to have a live show, and Natsuki's going to be on it, and hopefully he's doing well. I must say, I do worry a little bit about Natsuki's health. Every time I see him, he seems to look a little bit more disheveled and put on weight and not good. Like, I don't know why. He's in the last year or two, he's put on quite a bit of weight. If you look at the last video he was in, which I think it was the live show, right? If you go back and look at the live show and compare that to 2 years ago, it's like night and day. So I'm a little bit worried about his health, which isn't surprising given that he drinks think every day, and drink and smokes 30 cigarettes, no less, as well. And they're not just any cigarettes; they're Marlboro Red. And if you know your cigarettes, you'll know that they are disgustingly strong. 12 milligrams of cigarette. So yeah, I do worry about his health. But anyway, hopefully he's looking good next week. And yeah, the live show will be either on Monday. Unfortunately, it will be a weekday. That's the only downside. But if you can't watch it live, it will be on, so you can watch it. You can like watch it afterwards. It'll be archived on here. So it'll be either March 5th or March 6th in the evening. So those are one of the 2 days that we'll have a live show. Really looking forward to it. If you've got any questions you want me to answer, shoot away now. Get shooting away with your questions, and I will answer away. So let's dive in. Can you do a convenience store fried chicken review? What is your opinion on the curry flavoured chicken? I've never had the curry flavoured chicken, but my favourite chicken, everybody knows, is Family Mart fried chicken. It is amazing. And even to this day, I still eat it sometimes, even though I feel phenomenally guilty when I do, given just how unhealthy it is. Get Natsuki vaping. It's not a bad idea, actually. Is vaping better for you than cigarettes? Probably better for you than the bloody cigarettes he smokes, but yeah, I could get him vaping. But for Natsuki, it's not. He's so addicted to cigarettes. I've never seen someone so addicted. He smokes so much, like it's not even funny. It's a real. I've never seen someone like that. It's really bad. It's also in Natsuki the movie. We bring that up quite a bit. Even in the opening title sequence, where we have like Natsuki's name come up and stuff. There's like smoke, CGI smoke coming up in the title sequence to kind of exaggerate the fact that he smokes ridiculous amounts of cigarettes. So yeah, it's a shame. If he could stop, it would do him a world of good, but it ain't gonna happen. Have you had the Family Mart medium hard water? I think I have, probably. Actually, it's an interesting thing about Family Mart is they have they have their mineral water, like bottled water, but there's two types. There's one in blue and one in green, and I never know the difference. They come from two different springs. So yeah, Family Mart water is, you can choose whatever you want. It's magical, isn't it? What a crap comment that was on the Family Mart water. But if you haven't already tuned into the Abroad in Japan podcast, we've got the next one coming out on Wednesday. This next one on Wednesday is a Q&A one. So we answered questions from questions people had sent in. So check that one out. Listen to it in your car. Listen to it when you're going to bed. I love podcasts. I've only just started listening to them myself. It's amazing. It's a revolution. I recently got this, which is AirPods. My friend Chris Okino, he got them and he went on about them, and I laughed at him because I thought they looked stupid. And they do look a bit silly. If you look at it, you put it in like that, and it's an AirPod. And they're good, but no, they are good. They're very good, actually. So I resisted buying them because I thought they looked a bit dorky, having a AirPod in, but they're fucking amazing. And I've actually it's so nice not having a cable dangling out whenever I'm doing stuff, especially when I'm editing for 5 hours straight every day. It's nice to have that. And I've just been going out for hour-long walks recently with these AirPod things in, listening to podcasts, and it's just been amazing. So I love podcasts. And John says, I would definitely lose AirPods. You say that, John, but when one of them falls out your ear, the other AirPod stops working. It's kind of sort of says, oh, it fell out. So you're like, oh, shit. But they haven't fallen out once. I've run with them. I've walked. I've done exercise with them. And they haven't fallen out. So they're actually pretty good. And the coolest thing of all is the swanky little case they're coming. This isn't an advert by Apple, by the way. I do genuinely quite like them because I was so against them and now I love them. But you flip it open and the case itself is the charger. So you can listen for like 3 or 4 hours and then you put them in. And after 15 minutes, they've got like another 2 or 3 hours of charging them. So this actually charges them. So it's really cool. Anyway, that's enough of me selling Apple merchandise. It's weird. I find Apple quite sinister and awful, and yet I think I own every single Apple product ever, from laptops and iPads to AirPods and everything. So yeah, I'm an Apple person, sadly. Hello Internet and 99% Invisible are pretty good podcasts. All others I could suggest are video game based. I'm actually being on another podcast soon, just as a guest. It's a podcast called Final Games. Final Games. It's a podcast about gaming. I've got to choose my top 8 favorite games, like Desert Island Discs, but with video games. Final Games. Obviously, when I'm on it, I'll let you guys know about it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The world of podcasting, I haven't listened to a single podcast my entire life, and now after all this time, I actually love them. I think they're brilliant. So yeah, and yes, with Liam, Liam runs the Final Games podcast. So yeah, hopefully that'll be going ahead next week as well. Do you still do unboxing videos? Says Tai Tai. No, I don't. I don't do unboxing videos. I don't have an address at the moment to ship them to, unfortunately, either. But I just felt guilty when people were sending me boxes filled with stuff. I felt a sense of guilt that nice people from around the world had sent in boxes, and it was fun for a few times. But I couldn't keep making it interesting. It's not my thing, cracking open boxes. And also, I was paranoid that sooner or later I was going to open a box and it'd blow up or something, which is how cynical I am about box opening. So maybe one day I'll look into it. I do actually have an address now in Tokyo that I could technically use, so I'll think about it. We'll see. My Tokyo Creative HQ. Yes, I could send mine. Could send the boxes to Tokyo HQ. Right, last chance, guys. Shoot your questions away, and I will end it in about 1 or 2 minutes. But thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tune in again 10 days for the Natsuki live show, which I'm really looking forward to. Should be good fun. Put a beer in his hand, and the sky's the limit. Anything can happen. And look out for the podcast. We've got 2 videos this week. One is about the ramen video that I talked about with Ryotaro, where we go and travel around and eat ramen. I think it's actually one of the best produced videos I've ever made in terms of the footage quality was amazing. We got some beautiful music, and the editing is above average for me usually. I don't know why, but it's a really nice video. So we go and travel around, and it's quite a long video. It's like 20 minutes, but it's a nice video, and I think you'll like it. And the second video is traveling around Hokkaido, driving around Hokkaido with my good friend Chris Okino. He's a real life American guy, and he's lovely and a bit annoying, but it's fun to travel around with him. So 2 videos, 1 podcast, an upcoming live show, and also the Patreon vlog, which is coming out tomorrow. I haven't done those in 2 or 3 weeks now, again, because I was away. So yeah, it's all, I've come back. I'm back from my adventures, and I'm ready to go for round 2, ready to really dive into 2018. Still haven't finished this coffee. Why haven't I finished this coffee? I think it's happened in the last episode. It's happened in the last live show in January, didn't it? I think I was drinking for half an hour. It's over. It's done. It tastes awful, but I think it works. All right. Last questions. How many months late is Natsuki the movie? Says Voilin's Life. It is 1 or 2 months late, maybe. But again, as I said before, all over the place. We talked about it in the recent podcast as well. I reached the point with Natsuki the movie where I realised we had something good, better than I ever anticipated that we'd make, and something that was really fun. And I thought, I can't rush it. Once you've got to that point of making something that's good, you have to go the final kind of the home straight. You've got to go the final length and add another month or 2 to make it go from good to great. And yeah, that'll be coming out in March, and I'm really looking forward to that, and you should be too. So yeah, by K-Car, says Jack Sadler. For those of you that don't know, K-Car is like a little miniature car with a yellow number plate. Normal big cars in Japan have white number plates, and K-Cars have lower taxes to run. They're cheaper on highways. They run on literally no petrol whatsoever. You can have like a splash of gasoline and they'll go for 100 miles. But I won't buy one because in the winter, they're utterly crap because the engines are so small. Like, I think for a K car, the engine needs to be under 1600. No. The engine needs to be 1200 cc or no, 1100 cc, I think. or below. So K cars are very small, very dinky, very underpowered. Whenever you're going up a hill, it sounds awful because the engine is like bursting into flame at maximum capacity. So no, I don't plan to get a K car ever. And in fact, I don't have a car now, which is another reason I don't feel like I'm home. I need a car. Wherever I am, I need a car to feel like I'm home. Any hierarchy of convenience store, Lawson's versus 7-Eleven, etc. Number one favorite convenience store is 7-Eleven, just because they have the most consistently good product range. After that, and they have the best coffee as well, the best coffee which you can get in the store. That's me doing coffee. That's how it works. Actually, in any convenience store you can get coffee, so that's good. But yeah, 7-Eleven's has the best. Then Family Mart, solely because of Family Mart fried chicken. And thirdly, Lawson's, because Lawson's is quite all right. They do nice egg sandwiches. But yeah, 7-Eleven's at the top. 7-Eleven, Family Mart, Lawson's. Anything else is avoidable, and I wouldn't go there. So yeah. What's your favourite dessert, Chris, in Japan? I read that initially as what's my favourite desert in Japan. My favourite, maybe is it because it is spelled desert? Maybe. I can't work out spelling at this time. My favourite dessert is I don't know. My favourite dessert is don't know. I can't remember the word. I'm looking for a word. It's too late at night for me to think of the word. I think just a pudding, just a custard pudding. There's nothing in particular, unfortunately. Nothing particularly Japanese. Oh no, dango. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, dango, which is like a little jelly kind of thing. It's rice that's been pounded down into mochi and put on a stick and covered in sticky sweet sauce. Dango. Absolutely beautiful. Love them. 7-Eleven dessert sandwiches are also quite good, as Ben White says in the comment section. In 7-Eleven, you can get a strawberry and cream sandwich, and they're actually quite good. The first time I bought it, I was like, this can't work. A sandwich with strawberries and cream in, and then I ate it, and it was a revolution. It was amazing. A revolution. It was a revelation. See, after 11 p.m., my words just get muddled and weird. Yeah, it was a revolutionary. It was a revolution. The strawberry and cream sandwich. It was amazing. No, they were quite good. Don't be pessimistic. Don't be like me. Eat the strawberry and cream sandwich. You'll love it. Favorite Japanese winter food, says James. My favorite Japanese winter food is nabe, which is like a hot pot. It's like a big soup filled with like meat and pork and food. It's good. It's like a big hot pot, nabe. It's nice, and yeah, that's what I like in winter. And yakitori, but then again, yakitori, skewered. See, this is getting ridiculous. Skewered meat is good all year round, not just in winter. Do Japanese convenience stores have an equivalent of the £3 meal deal? Says John. Oh, I love that. I miss that. Actually, that's a really good point. Japanese stores don't do the 2-for-1 deal that often, actually. How have I never noticed that after all these years? That's one of the big key factors. I find, yeah, in the UK and in many countries, especially in the US, I imagine, if you go in Walmart or Tesco or Sainsbury's, we have like deals, right, where you get like buy one get one free, or 3 for the price of 1, or 100 for the price of 5, whatever. We don't have that in Japan, really. Sometimes we have discounts, but they're not half as commonplace as in the UK or as in the US. So no, we don't have the £3 meal deal. If you go into a 7-Eleven and you buy your lunch, you can't get a bottle of like Coke and a packet of crisps and a sandwich for £3. You have to buy them separately, and it costs a lot more. So yeah, it's quite an interesting point. How did I never notice that? Interesting. Chris, can you say hello to my wife Lucy? She is a big fan. Hello, Lucy. Nice to meet you. I hope your partner. I don't know what the story. What's the story behind Radix Money Studios? It's a really strange username, Radix Money Studios. Anyway, hi Lucy. Hope you're having a good Sunday and a great weekend. And thanks for watching and liking the videos. I was Chris, you've always done quite upbeat videos. Since your recent documentary that had a few more somber tones, have you considered doing a video on the not so nice areas of Japan, such as Kamagasaki? Kamagasaki. Where is that? I feel like I should know what that is, and I don't. Remind me what Kamagasaki is. Is it a neighborhood in Tokyo? Yeah, actually, I didn't talk about the last video, the documentary I did. So that, yeah, I really enjoyed doing that. It was quite a serious documentary. It was so sad, the story of Kano, the lady who owns the B&B. Was quite a moving story. I wanted to make that documentary for a long time, and we approached the, I think we approached the local government. Ryotaro helped me get that video sorted out and actually get the people on board for the video. So he was like a big part of the video, but he wasn't in it for once. I didn't feel it was appropriate to have Ryotaro in the video as well as me. I was barely in the video myself, and I wanted it that way. I wanted it to be more like a documentary, as though I was looking for, answers and interviewing people. I wanted it to be about the people who lived on the coastline rather than myself. So most of the documentary is me just looking at shots going, oh, wow, look, or like in slow motion, looking out to sea like that, which is good. It's good not to have me in it for once. And the documentary did a lot better than I anticipated. It was really encouraging. Like, it was retweeted by like the UK embassy and like I think the Canadian embassy retweeted it, and lots of cool people as well. And yeah, I was really happy with the response. I thought, I really didn't know how it was going to do, because as you said, Josh, my videos, I tend to be quite upbeat. I want to make people laugh and be happy. And that video wasn't so upbeat, was it? Yes, it was kind of uplifting. It was a story about how something unimaginably bad happened. An entire region swept away and destroyed by a tsunami. But I wanted to go in at the angle of, but look now, it's come back, it's bounced back from this terrible event. And whilst it's not perfect yet, the region is kind of rejuvenated and revitalized, and the people have such inspirational stories. So I wanted to kind of inspire people. I wanted viewers to go away thinking, if those people who lost everything can get around and get by and feel positive, then so can I, kind of thing. Especially the last story with Kano, again, who lost her eldest daughter and husband and son-in-law in a boating accident, and lost her house, of course, in the tsunami. To lose all of those things and still be so positive and so upbeat and so forward-looking, it's just seriously inspirational. And yeah, the response was great. 25,000 likes, I think, and 3,000 comments, which is a lot more than usual. Usually we get around 2,000 likes or 1,000. Usually we get 2,000 likes and like 15,000. I don't know what I'm talking about. Usually we get like 15,000 likes. This time we got 25,000 likes. So yeah, it was really encouraging, and that made me think I want to do it again. So we're already looking for the next story. We're turning our attention perhaps to Fukushima this time, because obviously there's lots of stories to be had there. As I think I mentioned before, there was talk of me going and making videos around the Fukushima nuclear power plant at one point, and I was like, no, don't want to go there. But there are some amazing stories in Fukushima, some amazing people, and I'd like to go and definitely make some stuff there as well. Yeah, but for me, if I did do that, I don't want it to come off as like propaganda or something. I don't want it to seem too positive and propaganda-y, like, oh, Fukushima's so brilliant now, when obviously they do have the nuclear situation still, which isn't bad. It's not too serious as you'd think. Yes, obviously it's very serious indeed, but the people there are getting by. And yeah, I visited Fukushima quite a lot, and the area that I would be a bit uncomfortable going to is the kind of exclusion in the region itself. But they've done a fantastic clearing up job there now, actually. So yeah, I think that would be the next place we do that kind of style of documentary, and that would be maybe in 3 or 4 months, perhaps. So yeah. And thanks to you guys. There's some nice comments here about the tsunami video. Yeah. John says, if Britain had a tsunami and rebuilt the place, everything would be made of boring grey concrete and sand. Japan always builds much nicer buildings. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that, but yeah, the towns that were rebuilt, like Onagawa, which is featured prominently, looks a lot nicer now than it did back before the tsunami. I mean, I'm not saying the tsunami was a good thing, of course, but no, the town does look a lot nicer now. The high street on Onagawa used to all be shuttered down, like a lot of rural towns in Japan, where the population has declined and business has gone. The town was looking kind of decrepit and old and half lived in, and now it looks a lot newer and feels like there's something going on there. So yeah, Onagawa looks a lot nicer these days. Maybe you can make a video about territories that Japan fights over with Russia. I don't know. I think that's too. I don't think I could find any individual stories there to actually make that work. So I don't think I'll do that. It's an interesting topic, but yeah, I don't think I could make that either educational or entertaining. So probably give that a miss. Ray says, how long did pre-production of the tsunami video take? Pre-production took about was taken about a month of research for pre-production. A lot of the people we feature in the video, Ryotaro had already met or already knew, and so he told me the stories about them. I also did some research with a friend of mine who works for the Nikkei financial newspaper, the Nikkei. He wrote an article about the region, and that inspired me in the first place to go and want to make a video. And I talked with Ryotaro, and I guess we developed the idea over a period of a month. And as I mentioned in the podcast, we did actually plan to try and have Ken Watanabe in the documentary when we went to his restaurant. But one of the organisers we were working with bungled the dates, and we missed him by a week. So I try not to think about that because it makes me very sad, because that would have been like my ultimate goal ticked off, right? I mean, really, I don't mind that much about. Really, I don't mind that much about meeting Ken Watanabe, but still, would have been quite cool, right? I was gonna, like, if I'd met Ken Watanabe, I was gonna go, oh yeah, blah blah blah, and yeah, what do you think, Ken? And I'd turn the camera, and it's Ken Watanabe sitting there. But no, it's just a dream once more. So bloody close, and now nothing. Any last questions, guys? I'd like to see you make a video on finding roast meals and vegetables in Japan. After spending a month in Japan, I was dreaming of having some roast chicken. Says, so cool, it's uncool. I actually did find the only place, for British viewers, I found one place or one chain of places that does roast dinners in Japan that are actually good. It's the British pub chain called Hobgoblin. They're in Roppongi and Shibuya and maybe Shinjuku or Asakusa. But I think there's 4 of them. And you can find roast dinners there effortlessly. Every Sunday they do it. Amazing. Check it out. Right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap it up. I've got to do some more editing before I go to bed. Sunday never ends. I was up until 7 a.m. the other day editing. 7 a.m. That's the level of hard work I put into these videos. Or it was maybe the fact that I hadn't done anything during the day because I was busy watching TV and stuff. But anyway, up until 7 a.m. It's the kind of dedication you find with a top YouTube person. Oh dear, what a twat I am. But anyway, guys, so yeah, thanks for joining, guys. It's been a nice chat. I feel like I've done better this time than in previous times. Yes, my speaking's a bit slurred and some of the words have been a bit bad, but I've actually been on the ball. I felt like I've been on the ball in this episode and done a good job. Usually I don't feel that way. So yeah, I hope if I've missed any of your questions, do go ahead and hold them. I'm going to do another post in the week for the upcoming live show next week with Natsuki, and you can post your questions there and we will answer them. And of course, you can ask your questions to Natsuki as well. So yes, have a great Sunday, guys. Have a great weekend, and I will see you later in the week in one of the many things that I'm putting out, whether it's a Patreon vlog, a video about ramen, a video about Hokkaido, a podcast, or just, yeah, there's so much stuff coming out. It's insane, isn't it? I've been, yes, as Scrublet says, I've been almost dead last month, but I'm back from the dead with lots and lots of content to keep you preoccupied. So thanks, guys. Have a great Sunday, and I'll see you in the week. God bless. Have a good Sunday.